offices, back porches, and kitchen tables to yours. This is Series Talk Live. I'm David Peters from Florida State University, joined as always by my colleague and good friend Marty Dempsey down in Gainesville at UF. Marty, how you doing?
Doing well, Dave. Looking forward to it.
Good deal, good deal. Well, hey, let's tell you what's coming up on this particular show. We'll have a rundown where we'll talk about just all the news from this series, kind of PTI style. So stay tuned for that. We'll get you all caught up in express mode, followed by an interview with some of our other NIRSA colleagues to talk about the Series Academy, something we've been working on since Series 2.0 2 years ago and are ready to roll out now. And we'll tell you about maybe the new ways it will roll out. Plus, it'll be a mailbag time, question and answers, some questions from you. So if you need to send in those questions, please do that in the chat feature right now and send those to Jonathan Johnston. Again, Jonathan Johnston, just send those directly to him. He's going to filter those for us and let us know some of your questions during the mailbag segment. So thanks to JJ in advance for all that work. So that's coming up. Plus, a look at some of the awards. This is the time of year that we would be giving out awards at the annual conference. We're not there, but we're going to do it on this particular show of Series Talk 2. So that's all coming up in the next hour or so. All right, Marty, ready to go?
Let's roll, Dave.
Let's make it work. And we will start the rundown with a look at the series structure, just so you can kind of understand where the championship series falls in NIRSA. And it falls under this NIRSA Services Corporation. I like to call it the profit arm of NIRSA. But the NSC board is where the championship series reports to. We have a couple of great leaders at headquarters that help us out, as always, with Val and with Nicole, thanks to their great work in keeping us moving forward. And then Scott, our chair, Mr. Flickinger, is reporting directly to the NSC board. And then we split up into the rest of the exec team, 2 vice chairs, Marty 1, Ashley Laxo. Marty, how does all that work?
Yeah, so on my side of the house, the sports side, I get to work with all the chairs from basketball, flag football, tennis, soccer, and club basketball. And then on Ashley's side is more the operations side, so assessment, standards, brand management, student and pro development, and the newly formed Unified Task Force.
So certainly a lot going on there. We have all of you, or many of you here on the call today, who are part of our work teams or volunteers at tournaments who just care about the series. Thank you to being part of our team that makes this such a success. We have national sites, we have regional sites, we've got volunteers and officials. A lot of people make up the series, and we're so proud of all of you for your contributions in that. We had a number of our exec team members and work team members get together last summer for our summer summit, where there's more planning to be done, and that happened in Columbus, Ohio. I was not there, but Marty, you were, so what went on?
Yeah, so we talked about a variety of topics over the 3 days, but as our conversation continued to develop, it really focused in 5 main areas. And that was club basketball, really focusing on educating NIRSA about the league. So we did a variety of presentations on club basketball last summer, and then we had a whole series talk episode about it. Flag football and, the state of that and how we can continue to, offer that legacy event that has been so popular for NIRSA since its inception. Our Unified Sports Initiatives, we mentioned that's a brand new task force for this year. Our Series Academy that you'll get to hear a lot more about later, that's a new initiative for the championship series. And then the enhancement of specific policies and procedures to just make a more efficient experience overall for the entire.
Always learning lessons. There's that nice, pleasant jingle to move us on to the next slide. And that is all about club basketball and the work that Josh Dietrich has been doing from Kent State with our different teams that have competed this year. You'll see some of our divisional champions on the screen. But NIRSA serves as one of the governing bodies for club basketball and really have worked very hard this year to continue to make that experience great for those that are engaged in the NIRSA side. Our club basketball league took tremendous strides with 11 different university hosting club events for 33 NIRSA teams spread across 7 different divisions. Each division had 2 host sites. All the regular season play, fortunately, was completed before we hit the COVID-19 mess. But lots more than just play going on with the club basketball. Marty?
Yeah, lots of new faces this year. Is really a transitional year of leadership. Club basketball, again, being that huge focus for our team last summer. And we're really trying to focus on expanding in intentional ways. So we know we can't just go attack the entire country, but making sure that we're enhancing those excellent experiences for people involves getting teams near the 33 that we already have so that way drive times are shorter and they can continue to get that quality developmental experience from our club basketball.
Well, you mentioned it right there, Marty. Club basketball growth is important to us, so important that we've actually added a co-chair to this group. We'll welcome Matt Dunnigan from UC Riverside on board to help Josh out, and they've got their work cut out for them this year.
Yeah, and you talked about Josh. He was really thrown into the fire when it came to club basketball over this past year. He's done a tremendous job with that, so much so we're gonna have him back for a second year to help out. So him and Matt are gonna really help lead the way. Some of the things that we're doing for club basketball over this next year is we're opening registration earlier. We're going to plan to recruit in key areas that I had mentioned earlier and create maybe new divisions where there may be an interest from a lot of different teams from that same area, because we know that there are so many more than the 33 that we have in our league that have a club basketball team at their institution. So we know we have competitors within this. You see some of that information on the board. How are we different? And we want to make sure that we are standing out what NIRSA is really about, that development of our athletes, of our staff that gets to run these tournaments, and certainly the student officials that get the opportunity to work these high-level games.
One of the places we see a lot of our club teams is at the National Basketball Championships, and it's been a whole year, in fact, 14 months since our last annual conference in Boston, and so we have some tournaments to recap, and one of those is our first year in Wichita for the National Basketball Championships back in 2019, and 78 teams from 60 different universities across 5 divisions, and that includes 12 unified teams made it out to Wichita in their first year, 48 officials, 51 staff members, 56 host volunteers. That includes professionals and GAs and students from the Wichita area. So a whole army on hand there to put on what was an outstanding first year in Wichita for our national tournament. The winners last year include Ohio State in the men's club division. The women's club division winner was Georgia Tech. Men's intramural champion Stephen F. Austin, the Takeover, and women's intramurals went to NC Legacy. The unified division champions were from Florida State University. Great year, certainly in Wichita, but the basketball work team has been doing a lot, not just in Wichita, but so much more too.
Yeah, it was really encouraging to see out at Wichita. Staff came together, sport programs, facility operations, that whole team got together to make that a really quality experience in its first year.
And here's what the basketball work team's been working on this year, and that was regional tournament action this spring. And we got through almost all of them before we hit some of our shutdowns across the country. You can see where we were at earlier this year, and the team numbers represented. 270 teams in all participated in regional tournaments before we were cut short. UT Arlington led the way with 59 teams down in Region 4.
Yep, and in an effort to provide more for the participant experience, the basketball work team is really working to ensure that we had a guaranteed 3 games for teams at nationals for this year. A lot of logistics that go into a decision made from just a simple decision like that. So we're really excited, and we'll carry that on into Wichita for next year. They were also looking at the potential of adding a fan zone at the national tournament. So again, that participant experience at the forefront. And then from a planning perspective, this is not the first time we're using Zoom. We've been using it all year in the championship series to help plan our regionals out. A lot of really engaging conversation from all of our regionals. Dexter Shorter next year will be the chair for the basketball committee. Looking forward to his leadership over the next 2 years.
You know, one thing that did happen this year was a NIRSA basketball officials virtual clinic, and back on Friday, April the 3rd, a video conference with our officials who either earned a bid from their respective regional conference or applied as an at-large spot. I got through a number of different items in a really impressive clinic. That was led by John Broska from UF, Natasha Harris from Kentucky, and Mike Castaneda from UT San Antonio. They did some great work, and we had some other great contributions too.
Yeah, really a number of sessions from both NIRSA members as well as guest speakers from the high school, collegiate, and professional ranks. One of my favorite quotes was that one of the participants said, this is like getting a $400 camp experience that they have to pay for each summer for free through NIRSA. And you out there, you're going to get a chance to see all of these because many of these sessions were recorded. They're going to be available online into next week. But John Blazik, he is the Division II coordinator. He mentioned how much NIRSA has meant to him and how well we are developed. So that was awesome to Sheldon, the dynamic duo, them providing a great forum on communication, and then Kara Hunter leading a really awesome session, film breakdown. It was just a great session overall.
The other national tournament from last year we wanted to talk about in 2019 was the Tennis on Campus Nationals, our partnership with the USTA. A great tournament once again out in Surprise, Arizona, and it was UCLA taking home the national title with a 5th set comeback over Cal Berkeley.
Yeah, and that collaborative work really continues to happen with that Tennis on Campus National Committee. They're assessing current, lapsed, inactive club tennis teams to make sure that anybody that wants to play tennis on their campus has that avenue to grow their tennis clubs at their school. There's some incentives that are involved in participating, including stipends, equipment, and T-shirts. We're also updating the TOC of resource materials for clubs to reference on the USTA website. So really want to make sure that we get the information out there to recruit more and more people to play tennis. David Peters, you are the next leader of tennis, though, aren't you, bud?
I'm sorry, did I miss that email? I need to get some more work to do then. Hey, but they're doing a lot of work, I know, on the Unified Task Force. Marty, you mentioned them earlier, first year for that task force for us, and it'll be back for year number 2. Amanda Alpert from University of Mississippi has done an outstanding job leading that group. 7 flag football regionals and 3 basketball regionals offered unified divisions this past year. And we had soccer for the first time ever at our national soccer tournament.
Sure. We mentioned the soccer tournament there. I know there's been collaboration from USTA, NIRSA HQ, and the Unified Task Force about adding unified tennis. They're making a lot of progress on our regional and national registration forms to really hone in on making it easy for sites to be able to run unified if they want to run this great league. So getting them a seat at the table and having them as part of the NIRSA leadership has been so important. And we are just so excited to have Amanda. She's done such great work that she's going to be coming back for year 2. So we're excited for the work that foresee over.
Certainly great to have a unified soccer at our national soccer tournament for the first time ever. Help us set some record numbers. We did really well in the regionals as well. Take a look on the screen at some of our winners from the different sites that we had this year for regional soccer. 180 teams in all participated. The largest tournament field, 48 teams at Region 1 at the Proving Grounds in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. I think I said that right. It's right outside of Philadelphia. But a lot going on, and you can see the 9 regionals that we had this year. We had some spring events planned too.
Yeah, the spring soccer series unfortunately canceled for obvious reasons because of the pandemic. But however, 2 new universities wanted to hop on board and add to what has already been an exciting slate of spring soccer that we've had over the past couple of years. So Wisconsin, Madison, and UCF. We look forward to continue that momentum in 2021. We added a selection show this year for soccer, just all kinds of really cool things. John Janis is going to be leading that for his second year in soccer.
Phew. Well, I tell you, we're going to put the slide up here for Series Talk just to get a quick break. It's halftime through the rundown here. Make sure we catch our breath. Marty, how you doing?
We're doing great, Dave.
Well, I guess it's time to keep it going as we talk more in national soccer. There we go. Well, Rally, here comes second half action in the rundown, and we'll continue actually with some soccer. National tournament time. Record 99 teams made it down to Round Rock and the Round Rock Multipurpose Complex there in Round Rock, Texas, just north of Austin for this year's national championships. 42 NIRSA volunteers, 6 student officials joined for this year's festivities. The men's open champion, Purdue University. The women's open went to the University of Oregon. BYU took home the national championship on the men's side in the collegiate bracket, along with Ohio State in the second year in a row, winning for the women. Unified champions were from the University of Tampa.
One of the neat things that we added to this to the show this year was the selection show. So we've been doing the live draft draw throughout the years, but this year we were able to involve students from some of our national champions from the years before and talking to them about the impact of soccer. So that's been huge. You mentioned the student officials program. Huge shout out to Laura Whiteley, Abby Van Note, and John Luck, who helped lead the officials clinic and mentored the officials that you see on the screen. And the selections have already began for the 2020 national tournament in Foley, Alabama. Those assistant directors were named early and will be released in the future.
Here's a look back at flag football for the fall of 2019. You can see the institutions and how we did with the various staff, many of you serving as tournament directors or officials chairs or all tournament chairs. 9 regional sites in all with 269 total teams last fall. 3 sites had over 30. You can see 42 teams at UT Austin leading the way, 41 at Southern Miss. So real proud of all of those folks. 18 different universities were crowned regional champions, including one of our perennial powerhouses, Angelo State, which swept every division at UT Austin.
One of the proud moments of flag football this year was the introduction of a co-chair position. So thanks to Brooke Cochran from UF stepping into that role for 19 and 20. She'll do so again next year. Another focus this year was on data collection and resource sharing between the regional sites. So you see a lot of Google Drive, a lot of information. So we're not duplicating a lot of our efforts across the board. And Gerard Davis will return for his 3rd and final year as the chair of the flag football work team. He's serving 3 years to line it up with the as that position also serves on our editorial board for the flag football rulebook.
There's that group that worked the national tournament for flag football, also in Round Rock at the Round Rock Multipurpose Complex in January. So we had 44 teams there at Round Rock for flag football. The men's champion with a 2-point conversion in the final minute. 35-34 win for Georgia College over South Texas College in the men's final was very exciting. That team down the road that wears orange and blue that Marty works at won the women's final for the 3rd straight year. And Dixie State out of the state of Utah was our co-rec champion. If you want to go watch some of those games, you can see them online. Scott Flickinger, Flick, was joining me this year for the commentary. We had a great time there, watched some good games in Round Rock.
You can say Gators, Dave. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about the officials committee. The quality of education being delivered at the national tournament is really unprecedented. So we really want to we thanked Bradley last year. We really want to thank the folks that have really led the way for so many years. Kurt Clear being thanked this year. I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention Jason State College, who also has contributed in so many ways over the years. Really looking forward to Ryan Wingers and Leanne Sermon taking up that mantle in future years. So congratulations to all.
Abby Van Note has been leading a lot of our efforts with student and professional development. And you can see that officials development is one of those many things we're doing. Marty?
Yep. So this year we implemented the first ever officials development that was focused on student development and transferable skills. Was run at the Swamp Shootout this year. Really focused on how you can utilize your regional experience in whatever career you choose. 976 applications across all positions this year for the NIRSA Championship Series, so it continues to be popular. 594 of those were selected, so 61%. Our goal is to continue to try to move that number up and find more opportunities for folks. 65 to 70% of those applications come from professionals, and about 3/4 of the applicants have less than 6 years of experience within NIRSA.
Let's look at standards real fast because we got to have somebody working on the policies and procedures to keep us moving forward. And Kelly Rockwell this year became a mom and also served as our work team chair here. So lots of work getting done, including this new appeal form. Marty?
Yeah, mom of two for Kelly. And we want to shout out Danny Feitel, who served in the interim, but Danny will also be taking over for the next 2 years as the standards work team chair. They created this online appeal form. They're trying to make it easier. And really, we're trying to tap into this very talented group to find out how can they help us more with standardizing communication tasks. So there's a lot of goals for this particular work team for the next year moving forward. And we're real proud of everything that they've accomplished this year, too.
You've seen us all over social media. Brand management continues to be important, and you'll find us at NIRSA Champ on Instagram and Twitter and over on Facebook and all the hashtags as well. We continue to up our numbers of followers in both of those places. On Twitter, almost 4,000, almost 2,000 on Instagram. We appreciate all of you generating content throughout the year. Some new things on Facebook, too.
Yeah, so DJ Dawson, his crew this year, they really looked at implementing this new Facebook page. We know that a lot of our professionals are on that. And that's a great way for us to connect. So if you are not currently, following any of these NIRSA accounts, please do. There's also a number of other accounts that are out there that reference the NIRSA Championship Series at our regional and our regional levels in particular. So that's great. It's just different ways to finding ways to connect and add to that participant experience.
Assessment, that's right. We are doing assessment because that's one of our goals as part of Series 2.0. 568 surveys across basketball and flag football, and you can see some of the comments that we received from regional tournaments as well as national tournaments in the past year about how the experience is working out for our participants.
Yep. There was a focus on impact of involvement in participant surveys during basketball regionals in particular, as 110 participants were asked about how their experiences aligned with career readiness skills as defined by NACE. From this assessment, 75% of respondents either agreed or strongly agreed that their participation in the series positively enhanced their ability to work on a team and develop leadership skills. 96% of all athletes who took part in a basketball regional also expressed that they would recommend series events to others and that they wanted to return in the future. We really look forward to Antonio Gonzalez serving again in his second year as the assessment team chair.
There are the sites, there are the dates for 2020-2021 academic year for soccer, flag football, tennis, and basketball. Some familiar places. We've been to all of those before, actually, but lots going on in the future. Marty?
Yeah, we're so excited about the future of the series, and I know we'll battle through this, the pandemic that we're going through here, and we'll come back stronger than ever with that. But, I mentioned some of the things that we were looking at earlier, those processes in the series. We're working on adding evaluation tools for work team members and chairs, consistent and clear communication timelines with all of our stakeholders that care so much about the series. When I talked about club basketball earlier, flag football, we're trying to cross-examine teams that attend regionals but not nationals and vice versa, and what motivates those individual teams. And finally, with the Series Academy, and we're going to get into that here in just a second, but expanding in-person and virtual opportunities to make that successful for folks. And we were really excited to be there in Phoenix this year, but so excited to have some of that faculty join us now. So Dave, take that away.
Yeah, we're going to do some Q&A, but there's also that part of PTI, if you watch, where they do the mistakes and corrections or things we were just talking so fast about. Looking at our Zoom chat, it was the washed-up Wolfpack who won the Open Championship in flag football this past year that had some of the fine folks from Angelo State, among others, who had exhausted their eligibility on the collegiate side. But brought home the title there. And as I think there's some dings that went on, but again, I thank you both to some folks who've been very involved in flag football over the years. You were mentioning Jason Gant when we had some dings there for all of his hard work, and of course Kurt Clear, who we thanked there in Round Rock for all of his years of great work. A number of people have always been involved, so I want to make sure that those got the appropriate shout outs. It is time to move into some more discussion. We've got a few more members ready to do some chatting with us. So I will ask if we can have Sheldon Tate from TCU, Laura Thomas from Alabama, and Jacob Tingle from Trinity University to at least unmute yourselves to be ready for some of these questions. Because we want to talk about the Series Academy, something that came together 2 years ago in those planning phases with Series 2.0, and we are finally ready to get it off the ground. We had some things actually already planned this year with a pre-conference at NIRSA 2020. Shed a tear, pour something out. I know we'd be going home from that right now, and well, recovery from the socials, I'm sure. But let's talk about the Series Academy. I want to start with the first question to Jacob. Just tell us a little bit about the Academy and why it was developed.
Yeah, the Academy is it's just a really cool. I'm just so excited about launching it, and I wish we were doing it last Saturday. But it's going to provide an opportunity for folks to learn essential skills to really being a great volunteer and a great team member, regardless of whether it's with NIRSA or at their day job or not. In addition to those transferable skills, it's the specific skills that we're focusing on are teamwork and communication. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to learn how to write strong applications, to learn how to do to learn what it means to be an effective member of a task force. And so this first round of the series is really focused on those folks who don't have a lot of experience working at the series. Maybe they've never worked a series event, or they've worked 2 or 3 events, but not real significant series experience. And it was really developed from an offshoot for some research that some colleagues, Dan Hazlett, April Flint, and I completed. And a big shout out to the NIRSA Foundation for providing the grant to that for that research. And what we looked at, what we found is there are some real positives that come out of volunteering at series events. And so we wanted to expand and be more intentional in terms of how those opportunities are provided. But also a real important element of this of the Academy is to provide folks who aren't in the intramural or club sports world an opportunity to share their skills, share their expertise, and then also enhance and experience some of the professional development growth. So that's kind of a little bit of the quick version of the backstory.
Well, and Jacob, I'll turn to Laura for this question, because that's a lot of different opportunities for members across NIRSA. But Laura, who are really some of the ideal candidates to attend the Academy or participate in Academy sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, knowing kind of echoing what Tingle said. So a lot of y'all on the call, I see your familiar faces. Y'all are comp sports professionals. Y'all are colleagues that we've been working on tournaments and work teams for years. And so really the target audience for this is those members that are engaging in the series in maybe a minimal way. So maybe they've volunteered for one tournament, but never a work team. And so we're really trying to target those colleagues that may be engaged in the series in a small way and help them better understand volunteerism as a whole throughout the series opportunities. But we're also targeting those members that are not, that are NIRSA members that are not competitive sports, not intramurals and sport clubs, as a way to evolve the series, those events, and those work teams. As y'all saw at the beginning of the show, we have lots of different opportunities, whether that's student professional development or brand management, that some of our colleagues, like in marketing or operations, may be the experts in those areas. And so we're really trying to open up the series for some professional opportunities inside competitive sports, but then also to our colleagues to continue to evaluate how do we do what we do best.
Well, let me send the next question to Sheldon, because certainly we wanted people there to attend the Academy, and Jacob's already hit some of those topic areas, but who's going to be involved in developing and facilitating some of these sessions?
Yeah, it's a fair question. So obviously Laura and Jacob and myself have been intricate in the development of the curriculum, but in addition to that, we've got Ashley Lax, Scott Flickinger, Dan Hazlett, OC, Kurt Clear, Abby Vinote. But I think in the more important thing for me to say is not just the names, it's why we're doing it. right? And so you have a group of intrinsically motivated folks who are interested in seeing the next phase and development of what we do move forward. And so I think that's probably more important than the names. We all contribute, and we want to see this work, but we're doing it for the right reasons.
Well, and I think everyone has touched on this. So both Laura and Sheldon, perhaps on this one. What are those skills that we're going to be developing and participants learning, and what is the also to that? How much work are they going to have to do? I mean, is this just a 45-minute session? Is it a couple? We had some pre-conferences. What does all that look like?
I can start, Sheldon, and then you can pick up. Okay. So a lot of it's the pre-con was a half day originally scheduled, and we're going to still evaluate what ways we can connect with those participants that were potentially registered. But we're reviewing the history and like why the series began, how it began, and that's kind of an introduction for some of those students or professionals that are not engaged quite in a way that they want to be. Current ways to volunteer, different opportunities across the board. I think a lot of people, when they think about Champ Series, they think about events, and that's great, but that's just a portion of our work. And I think the work team volunteerism, and then like all the behind the scenes task forces that happen are really great opportunity for professional development as well. So we also are going to review some preparing applications. And so overview kind of what our host sites and our coordinators are looking for when they're selecting staff. And then what to expect when you volunteer. We've got some really awesome interactive activities that we're going to prepare you for, like when you get to a tournament, what to expect, and then what is expected of you. I think that's kind of the biggest thing that we were wanting to gain, or wanting our audience to gain through attending, is like what to expect, and then also like how to be a contributing member of our community, whether that's in a tournament or on a work team.
Yeah, and I would add with the expressed outcome or the desired outcome, that we're going to raise the level of the floor, right, of how our events move forward. We want to make a positive impact on the entire landscape of what happens in series events. And because we know, just based off the study that Jacob was referring to, that what the evidence is suggesting to us is that meaningful things are happening when these tournaments when these events occur in the right way. And so we want to make that as consistent as humanly possible. And then we want to try to drive it to the next level. So that's sort of the why behind the particulars that Laura was talking about.
Well, I think you've all mentioned, and Lauren in particular, we have so many people on Series Talk Live in the call today that have been so engaged in this. Jacob, I turn to you as you continue this planning. What opportunities do some of these folks, our NIRSA professionals, have to continue to engage with the Academy's work in the future?
Yeah, I think there's, again, the idea that we would have been, we would have been in person last week, or earlier this week would have been nice to get the ground running. But we're working on, Ashley and Scott and the rest of us are working on what are certain components of the Academy that can be done online, right? Not all of it. A lot of it is experiential in nature, but some of the elements of the Academy can certainly be delivered in a format or in a medium such as this. So we're looking at and figuring out how can we do that and pretty quickly, maybe some of those things this summer. And then when things get back to whatever normal is going to look like, but when we're all, at our desks and there are students on campuses and we're all traveling to conferences again, our hope is that we can, at regional and state conferences, we can start to roll out, some of the Academy elements, if not full, the half day pre-con versions of it. So that's, I guess the note there is keep looking, monitoring your inbox for, information from NIRSA, from the series, making sure that you're reading the NIRSA Knows to keep up to date on when those are going to be offered. And then especially for many of the folks that are on this call who do have significant experience and expertise, my hope is, especially as we go into, more of the regional or state, formats, that there's going to be so many people that are participating in this call that will be facilitators and educators in the Academy. So that's the other outcome, and is that we're hoping that not only will new people and people that have less experience will learn and become active members of the series. But those folks who have poured their hearts and souls, and to Sheldon's point, who are intrinsically motivated in so many ways, they'll be able to give back in really meaningful ways, and here pretty shortly.
Yeah, and David, can I add one more thing real quick? For those of you that are on the call, I would love to challenge y'all as a call to action from the call is to engage your colleagues. Tell them about the series, tell them what's happening with our academy and different ways that we're evolving and we're looking at the future. We need those marketers, we need those facility operations people at our tournaments, on our work teams to really understand a holistic perspective of our experiences. And so just please share the word.
We are certainly excited to get the Academy off the ground in whatever shape or form that looks like in the coming months. So thank you to the entire work team, to Jacob, Laura, and Sheldon for joining us today to cover all of that. We appreciate your work and we look forward to what's coming up. So for those members, keep an eye, as we've already mentioned, on your inboxes for more information and on NIRSAplay.com. We're going to invite our exec team back in. Marty and Flick are with us. Ashley Lax was unable to join us today to do some work on her campus. So we'll have Marty and Flick do some answering of some questions. So if you haven't sent a question or if you have one and want to get that answered, send that to Jonathan at this time in the chat. Again, Jonathan Johnson, and JJ will look at those for us. But some we've already heard, including one that we get all the time, which is first for Flick, I guess. Are we looking at new sports for the future of the series?
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me on to Highly Questionable. You and Poppy do such a great job. In terms of adding sports, so yeah, we get that question a lot. So if we take a look at a lot of sports, and we've had some suggested, baseball, softball, we're looking at esports too as well. So some of the things we take a look at, we're looking at, first of all, stabilizing the current sports, especially in the pandemic, and what we're going to be doing with the sports moving forward in the pandemic. So looking at that, taking a look at resources, whether it's institutional, whether it's through NIRSA HQ, or whether it's third-party resources we can take a look at as well. Those are some of a couple of many things that we take a look at in terms of that. It's not an instantaneous boom, we can add it. We got to take a look at what we can do and what we can do to make it sustainable before we even consider adding it to the series.
Well, I heard the buzzword there, esports. So Marty, I'll turn to you with a little bit more information on where we might be going in that realm.
Sure, and I'm sure it's no surprise to just about anybody in this call. I'd be surprised if there's very many that were not addressing esports locally on your campus. And overall, nationally within the NIRSA Championship Series, that has been something that we have talked about for a number of years. Is when or if is it the right time to enter into the esports realm? For those that don't know, there was actually a task force that was created about a year ago now that looked into esports. At the time, we didn't think that we had exactly the right resources in place, but now again, as times have changed, maybe some times have changed, some of those answers have changed as well. So we're re-looking at some of those proposals and deciding, when is it good for us to dip our toe in the water? As Flick mentioned, it's not just as easy as a yes, we want to, or no, we don't. Because I know a lot of us have put together esports leagues on our campus within a week. So, NIRSA, why aren't you not jumping right in on it? But there's so many time, resources, things that go into kind of a national type of league when it comes to esports that it does add some layers of complication. But we're certainly looking at that interest from a variety of different lenses. And if something moves, it will certainly be communicated with our stakeholders. Because one thing I know is that many of these calls over the past month have evolved into esports conversations quickly on many of our roundtables. So I know there's a lot of experts out there thirsty to get back to the championship series in a new way.
Flick, next question goes to you here. And one of our ongoing priorities in the series really is to work to provide opportunities just to the widest array of participants and volunteers. I know we just talked a little bit about how people can be involved in the academy, but what else are we doing in the series just to get people engaged across the entire spectrum?
That's a good question. So we take a look at the landscape of the series, and we always evaluate our participation, whether it's through our student athletes or through our volunteers, and making sure that what we're doing is also aligning with our opportunities for the Series 2.0. We have discussions with our work teams and our stakeholders to ensure that we're hitting and hopefully improving our guidelines. One of the great things that comes from the series is our ability to challenge the status quo and to keep pushing it forward. So this year, an example I'll give is members of NIRSA came together for several calls, and that included myself. And we discussed representation at the regional national level, specifically in flag football, in terms of increasing female involvement with both officials and staffing numbers, which has been a goal, for the past several years. And frankly, we made a lot of strides there, and unfortunately those talks have been kind of cut short, and hopefully will continue due to the pandemic and us trying to scramble to make sure that we're getting what we need on our campuses done first. But we're going to reopen those lines of communication. We're going to continue that communication as well. Just quickly, all 7 female applicants that applied for a bid to the national tournament either earned it through automatic invitation or got the at-large bid as well. And we also had, for our first time, as far as I can remember, a female director for director of officials who's come on staff now, and that's Leanne Sermon out of DePaul University, who will now become the co-chair of the officials committee in the next 2 years as well. So again, we're making strides, but that certainly doesn't mean that we're there. It means that we continue to push the needle, we continue to move it forward, we continue to talk to our stakeholders and to you in terms of what we need to do in order to progress the championship series.
Well, to both of you, but maybe Marty first on this one, and we've touched on it a couple of times in the first half hour here. It's just, we're in some uncertain times in these last couple of weeks. For the last 6 or 7 weeks, we've changed quite a few things, and we're trying to project what this looks like in 4 or 5 months, and that's difficult. But Marty, what is the series looking at for fall events and going into the next academic year?
Yeah, so this is really challenging, and obviously throws some wrenches into some plans that we may have had, as we're all experiencing on our campuses. So NIRSA is doing the same thing. So we're going to be looking at, and here with us, we're looking at the rollout amongst multiple states here. We're a nationwide program, so we are impacted by how different government agencies decide to roll back into what we might consider to be normal life. So we're going to be looking at the abilities of our institutions. We know that our institutions, many of them in a rough spot right now in terms of finances and things, and ultimately, is there still support, especially for this fall, to send intramural and club teams to our different events? So you can rest assured that we will be talking to many of you that are on this call about the questions that you might have, advice that we might be able to gather from that to determine what is the best course of action for the NIRSA Championship Series as we move forward. So we move forward with hope and a lot of optimism, but we also know that there's some challenging times and a lot of tough questions that we'll have to answer over the next several months.
Well, outside of those months for Marty or for Scott, what are some of those other aspects? We touched on it in the 45 seconds of a rundown for the future, but what are some of the other kind of big ticket items on your list as well?
Bottom line is the series isn't going anywhere. We know that, and we are truly inspired by the number of people that want to give back to the series. When you think about the work that is being done in the NIRSA Championship Series, think of it this way. Many of us are club directors, and we deal with people. I know there's a lot of information going on. I've seen it over the last couple of days, communication with commissioners from other leagues or owners of other leagues. Most of those are operating with lots of different full-time staff, and that's their only focus. Props to Val and Nicole, because they're the two within NIRSA that are leading the way, and I see a lot in the group chat about people giving them the proper commendations for the work that they do. But the majority of our work is done by volunteers who are paid to do a completely separate 40, 50, 60 hours a week that you're doing on top of that at your own university. Truly inspiring to the things that we do, and we know that no matter what, it's the strength of this room that will continue to lead us into the future to do the amazing things that we do for both our participants, our staff, and our officials.
We have people on this call who are wondering, am I on a work team for next year, among other things? And so I wonder if you could address, we've talked about some new chairs, but how's the rest of that coming together here this spring?
Honestly, Dave, that really depends on who's asking. Kidding. There is, as far as work team recommendations for next year, of course, everything is thrown off a little bit with our timeline in terms of the pandemic, but rest assured, we have still been working hard behind the scenes on that. NIRSA has as well for work team committees across the board, but and that information should be available here within the next week. So I can tell you privately that those are about ready to roll out. We have a committee meeting with all of our work team chairs for this year next Tuesday, where we will discuss kind of final communication plans. So if you've applied for a work team, probably by the end of next week, you can expect to get notification on that, and those terms begin June 1st.
Well, before we get too far into next year, we want to continue to look back because as we would have done at conference this week, it's time for some awards. I want to make sure that we honor many of those that have given to the series, not just this past year, but over several years. And so at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Flickinger, who will talk through and award some of our big items. Scott?
All right, thank you very much, Marty and Dave, for all that. So we'll go ahead and get started. This is our NIRSA Championship Awards and Recognition portion of the series talk. So first and foremost, I want to thank the NIRSA Championship Series headquarters personnel, and that would be Valerie and Nicole out of NIRSA HQ. Without your leadership, we cannot move the NIRSA Championship forward. So thank you very much. I also want to send a thank you to not just the work team chairs that are being shown on the screen here, but also to the work team members as well. They've worked tirelessly throughout this entire year to make sure that the Championship Series is a premier experience and event for not just themselves, but for our participants as well. And ultimately, we want to thank all those who have participated in the Championship Series as well as participants, because truly they're the ones that make this run. So thank you so much. The first thing I want to talk about is our institutional registration. So the institutional registrations is a program that allows institutions an opportunity to support the Championship Series in an effort to continue programming and provide development opportunities for participants, volunteers, and student officials. And this year for flag football, we had 3 institutions that participated in the institutional registration. So I want to say thank you to our gold member. That would be University of Southern Mississippi. Our silver member, which is Georgia Southern University. And finally, our bronze member, which is University of Maryland. So thank you to those institutions for putting forth and helping the Championship Series operate through the year. Next thing I want to talk about is the NIRSA and the USTA Tennis Ace Awards. So NIRSA and USTA has a partnership to help promote tennis on campus, which is a program that is spearheaded by the USTA. And the NIRSA and USTA Tennis Ace Awards recognize the outstanding accomplishments in tennis participation and promotion of the USTA Tennis on Campus program. So each year, the Championship Series awards one individual and one institution in terms of the USTA Ace Awards. And this year's professional award recipient is Adam Richmond from the University of Alabama. So congratulations to Adam. You can all do your clap icon, if you will, and you can certainly send him your claps. As well, our institutional award goes to Indiana State University. So go Sycamores. Congratulations to those individuals. Now, this is not something that we ourselves, the Championship Series, give out, but we certainly want to recognize the individuals that have participated in the Championship Series that have also gotten an annual service award. And that annual service award celebrates the efforts of members in our community who've gone above and beyond the call of duty in their volunteer service. So we have 2 awards this year, one group, one individual. The first one we want to talk about is the individual award, and that is former chair Randall Ford from the University of Texas at Austin for his dedication to and leading the NIRSA Championship Series. So thank you so much, Randall, for your expertise and stepping in during a time where we needed you the most for the Championship Series. Our collaborative award is for the NIRSA Championship Series Long-Term Vision Task Force Series 2.0. And I'm not going to name everybody that's on this list. You can certainly read it, but these individuals got together 2 summers ago to put forward a long-term vision that is guiding the Championship Series into the future. And we want to congratulate all those individuals that are a part of this as well. All right. The last thing I want to talk about before we move on to other items is the Sara Fain Distinguished Service Award. So as you can see on the screen, the Sara Fain Distinguished Service Award celebrates the dedication of an individual to the NIRSA Championship Series, particularly a volunteer who embodies the spirit of Sara Fain, exhibited by their commitment to the NIRSA Championship Series and tournaments through years of service. Now, this is generally presented during the NIRSA annual conference. And this award recognizes an individual who has demonstrated exceptional performance in leadership and development of NIRSA programs, policies, events, special projects, or committees within the championship series. So the Sara Fain Distinguished Service Award recognizes cumulative efforts made through years of dedication to the NIRSA Championship Series. And I am very proud to say that, first, in the upper left-hand corner are our past winners. So in 2018, we awarded this to Dan Hazlett of Georgia Tech, and 2019 award to Howard Taylor of Purdue University. This year's 2020 award goes to Brooke Turner from the University of Alabama. So give you a few seconds to please applaud her efforts and applaud what Brooke has done for the championship series. So in talking about a few things about Brooke, Brooke is being recognized for her impact and mentorship on so many current professionals, for being a proponent of lifelong learning and implementing professional development opportunities within the championship series. She's somebody that truly embodies the spirit of the award, consistently displaying selfless volunteerism, a pioneering vision, and the type of mentorship and congeniality so highly valued by our membership and so freely given by Sara Fain herself. Her leadership and vision when she was the chair of the NIRSA Championship Series. We want to celebrate her volunteer role at so many regional and national tournaments and various roles of support and leadership where she served alongside Sara. She's been the director of competition for the NIRSA Tennis National Championship, has been in this position since 2019, and she's also been the person who spearheaded this opportunity. She is the person that has put in for and has created the Sara Fain Distinguished Service Award to honor Sara. So personally, I've not met a person more selfless and encouraging as Brooke. Her guidance and friendship are parallel to that of Sara. I count myself lucky to call her a colleague and friend. So thank you so much, Brooke. Right now, we're going to play some special clips that have been sent by some of the membership congratulating her. And then afterwards, Brooke's going to share some words with all of us.
I nominated Brooke Turner from the University of Alabama for the Sara Fain Distinguished Service Award. Brooke and I have worked close to a dozen NIRSA Championship Series tournaments together on different committees. Brooke and Sara were both my mentors growing up through NIRSA, and I've learned so much from each of them. I appreciate all our conversations and those baked goods during our long rides to nationals, talking about scheduling tournaments, officials development, and hosting tournaments. Brooke, there's no one else I could think that deserves this award more than you. I know Sara's happy that you were the one who receives this award this year. Congratulations. See you soon.
Greetings, NIRSA family, and a special congratulations to Brooke Turner from the University of Alabama as this year's Sara Fain Distinguished Service Award recipient. Some of you may not know, but Brooke has been involved with the championship series from the very beginning, when we were extramural events, when we were the NCCS, even serving as chair of the championship series. Brooke has been involved in every aspect in the growth and the development of the championship series. And as the first female recipient of this award, I couldn't think of anyone better than to represent what Sara meant to every single one of us. Congratulations, Brooke, on this year's Sara Fain Distinguished Service Award.
Congratulations, Brooke. I am so extremely excited for you. I can't think of someone more deserving of this award to honor Sara's legacy and to show the selfless dedication and support you have for our association. We first met when I was a grad student, you were an undergrad, and you have done so much. I've watched you lead, I've watched you follow, I've watched you give unselfishly, with so much compassion, and I admire that about you, and I want to cheers to you until we see each other again. Congratulations and thank you.
Awesome. And now, without further ado, Brooke, if you're on, please grace us.
Hey, thanks everybody. Try to get through this as best I can. So I don't know that I truly have the words to express what this means to me. There are so many deserving people in our association who exemplify what this means and the service it represents. I was so privileged to be able to work alongside Sara for so many events, to know the caliber of her work and devotion and love for the series. I'm just overwhelmed. I know that the series meant so much to both Sara and I. It's the fabric of our being, and every event was almost like going to summer camp with some of your best friends. It was hard. It was fun. There was not a lot of sleep that happened. And I don't think that we would trade anything for any of those moments. In thinking about this and in some of the things that have been said today, it makes me a little bit sad sometimes for our friends and colleagues who are not part of the series, especially those who aren't part of the sports world, because there's just something they're missing. And I don't fully understand how they have some NIRSA friendships like we do, and I don't think they fully understand the depth of ours. Amy Poehler said, find a group of people who challenge and inspire you. Spend a lot of time with them, and it will change your life. That's exactly what the series has done for me and so many others. I found so many wonderful people like Sara who absolutely changed my life for the better. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I'm extremely honored and proud to receive this award in her name. It holds a very special place in my heart. Thank you.
Brooke, thank you so much. Those were wonderful words, and I know that Sara would be so proud of you. And that is it for this awards ceremony. Thank you so much. One last thank you, and that thank you is to all of you for supporting the championship series. If it weren't for all the individuals sitting in this room, whether you've been a participant or someone that has given us suggestion or some direction in terms of the way championship series is run, we wouldn't be the success it is today. So hashtag NIRSA all of us. Thank you so much. And I'm going to kick it back over to Marty and Dave.
Thank you, Scott. Congratulations once again to Brooke and to all of our award winners today. Some final thoughts before we close out. We will go to Marty. Marty?
You know, I'd be remiss if we didn't have at least one more recognition as we end the series talk today. And that is if we didn't recognize one more member that's on this call. You know, some of you know him from being a pioneer for the series in the social media world. Others know him from the impacts that he has made in officials development at multiple universities and through different series events. Remember when he created the unofficially official NIRSA officials Facebook groups, my Lord, Scott, for basketball and flag football, and led the way with his quiz du jours and his engaging conversations. More recently, you may know him as the host of the ever-popular quarantine quiz show, the commissioner of the NIRSA Words with Friends Leagues, or the founder of the Socks of NIRSA bracket, with almost 100 competitors this year. But however you know him in those ways, I think all of us know him simply as Flick. Scott Flickinger has served proudly and successfully in his role as the NIRSA Championship Series executive on the executive team, and as chair for the past year, on the executive team for the past 3 years. I'm proud personally to know him as a friend and as a teammate, and as he rolls off from his term at the end of May we all continue to be impacted by the legacy that Scott continues to thread. Thanks for everything, Flick. Go you, buddy.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's I don't know what to say other than the job's not done yet. There's still lots to do. No matter what, the championship series is something I've gotten into since I was a student, so many years ago. And it's still something that's been a part of me today. And an absolute honor to be a part of this on such a high level. And I'm not done with it yet in terms of that. I mean, I'm going to participate here and there, but we've got a lot more things to think about right now than just accolades. You know, we've got a lot going on right now, and people need us. So our job now is to make sure we get back on our feet. We go out there and we make the championship series better than ever. And frankly, the individuals that are stepping into the roles next year in the exec committee, and that's Marty, Ashley, and Jonathan Johnston, give these folks your faith because they'll lead you in the right way. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Flick, for your great work. We certainly appreciate everything you've done in your leadership year this year. As we close it out, we know we look forward to seeing many of you with our fingers crossed in the fall semester at various Championship Series events. One thing, if you have not yet heard, we will not see you at the Intramural and Sport Club Institute this summer. It has been bumped to 2021 for all of the reasons you can imagine, but we'll be still going to Vermont, to Burlington just next summer. It is a beautiful place to be. We hope you'll keep that as something for your calendar. And I'm sure we'll have some Academy stuff there too, along with other Academy events in between. We have one last thing to do today, and that is to roll the annual Championship Series video. So as Nicole gets that together, we're going to try it here on Zoom and give you that debut, but you can catch it on our Championship Series YouTube account as well in the coming days. Here is that video. This is it. Thanks for joining for Series Talk Live. For Marty, I'm Dave. We'll see you around.
Nationals twice, and so that really motivated us to this year to push for winning regionals, to be able to get to the competitive bracket for the first time. We had a really strong team this year, and we really felt like competitive would be a place that we could succeed at.
One of the biggest transferable skills that I have gained from officiating, I have become a way better communicator than I was before, and I just want to continue that while being here at this NIRSA National Championship.
Coming here, it's really taught me work ethic. Like, we really focused and worked hard and preparing for this, and just communication and handling situations responsibly.
Be well, stay safe, everybody.